I think we are good. We're good.
All right.
Okay, here we are. You guys missed a whole lot.
Oh, gold.
You missed gold. We talked about Pilgrims and how this pod needs batteries.
Yes.
This is our 4th attempt, and here we go.
Well, we can't let the listeners miss out, or we'll just say it quickly. Pilgrims, only Massachusetts.
Which is
Virginia,
still shocking
that's not
to me.
Pilgrims. That is not Pilgrims. And if this was already, if you already knew that, then I'm
Jamestown.
sorry. Jamestown, yeah.
Jamestown. Oh, wait, did you say Jamestown or Virginia? I'm sorry.
Jamestown's in Virginia.
I know. But just, because listen, if you're like me, let's just get it all out there. Jamestown, not Pilgrims. Massachusetts, Pilgrims.
Yes.
We confirmed it with ChatGPT.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
It's all confirmed.
And then, for you, Thanksgiving, not a big holiday. High holidays, big holidays. Hanukkah, the Kamala Harris of holidays.
That's right. Yeah. That was everything.
Did we do everything?
Yeah.
All
I feel
right.
like we talked for we just covered it in 20 minutes of talk. We were just rambling.
I mean, we kind of just, that's what podcasting is.
Is that what it is? Okay.
You can really boil down the substance in about 30 seconds.
That's fair. Yeah.
Just a lot of
Spark
fluff.
notes of a podcast are, just a pamphlet. Okay.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And Pramante's joining you for Thanksgiving with your family.
That's right. That's a crucial bullet point.
That's a gigantic point in all this. He's a vegan. He's bringing his own food.
Yes.
Okay. We're
And
back.
my dad is not catering to him at all.
He will not cater.
There's no tofu turkey. I don't know whatever it's called.
People don't give Russians enough credit. They have a good Thanksgiving.
He's not making turkey, actually. He's making brisket, and he's got a great brisket. My dad's a really, really good cook, and I think he's making duck. Brisket and duck. It's very fancy.
It's a fancy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That's a Democrat Thanksgiving.
Well,
Brisket and duck.
I won't tell my dad you said that.
Listen, my
Just
condolences.
I'm on your podcast, and you're just going to call my dad gay immediately? All right.
I guess that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, all right. 2 minutes in.
Okay. Wow, duck.
Yeah.
That's a very fancy thing. I didn't know, they just sold duck to people. I thought they sold it in French restaurants and Chinese restaurant windows.
I don't think that they would have it at the typical supermarket. I think you might have to go to the butcher.
They still got butchers?
Not many, but yeah. You got meat. There's one not too
The
far
German
from us.
one over here.
Yeah.
You got, Chanel or
you got
something.
The German one, right? And then I think there's one closer to me in the 70s that has just good cuts of meat, and I think you could probably get duck at most of those places, but it's definitely expensive. He gets duck legs, is what he gets. I don't know if that's less expensive.
I don't even know you could do that. A duck breast. What's going on with the legs?
I think it's similar to chicken, right?
I would imagine it's similar to chicken, but why specifically the legs? Easier to make?
Maybe faster.
Ooh.
Maybe cooks faster.
You don't hear about people eating the duck legs. You hear more about frog legs than duck legs.
There's something called duck confit, which is very fancy dish, and I believe that's the legs.
Confit?
Not as
duck with something. Yeah?
Yes. But I think that the typical recipe for that is one of those 3-day, slow cooking, marinating thing. And I think my dad has a recipe that's called counterfeit duck confit that he learned from some recipe. And so he's speeding up that process. I don't know exactly how. I don't know the science behind it, but we found a way.
Tell me the Russians are honoring intellectual property rights?
That's right. Just totally. Yeah. Bobby plays
pirated
on this, and we just totally zoomed in. Speaking of Bobby, my dad watches this Beat Bobby Flay or something like that.
He's got his own cooking show. Yeah, he travels around. People try to beat him.
It's.
You ever go to Bobby Flay's Burger Palace?
No.
Terrible.
Okay.
Don't go. You think it's going to be nice. It's in a mall. At least the one I went to.
Yeah.
Well, Bobby Flay didn't know. He didn't graduate high school.
Oh, okay.
I saw this on TikTok.
Yeah.
With Bobby Flay. Didn't graduate high school. Worked at some place in Union Square and worked his way up.
Well, he's a talented guy. Because on this show, I think it's called Beat Bobby Flay.
Okay.
The premise is that a few chefs, but renowned chefs, really, chefs from...
They're already known.
Yes. This is not some random this isn't Rocky. This is like, they're coming. I mean, it is Rocky, but it's not like a total unknown.
Yes.
So I think there are a couple of them. They first compete against each other, but the point is that the one that makes it out gets to go against Bobby Flay. And here's the thing: they both make a dish. It's a dish of the challenger's choosing. So it's the challenger's signature dish.
Right.
And Bobby Flay has got to somehow beat this guy at his signature dish.
But how do we know who's judging this?
It is like, I don't know if sometimes they bring in like a celebrity, but it's a panel. It's like 2 or 3 people.
Right.
And if there is a celebrity, then there's at least going to be some other either chef or critic or something like that, who's got the sophisticated palate.
But I feel like they're already biased. They're on Beat Bobby Flay.
Maybe.
Like, I'd be influenced if I'm like,
no, it's blind tasting. It's blind tasting.
It's blind tasting?
Yeah.
But do they know what show they're on?
Wait, what do you mean?
If I know,
right.
I'm going on Beat like, they're like, hey, we booked you for the judge on Beat Bobby Flay.
Yeah.
Even though it's blind.
How do they know?
I would know.
Wait, just based off of you just know a Flay?
I would know a Flay.
You think so?
Yeah, if you're doing, General So's.
Okay.
I think I know which one Bobby Flay made.
Because it's got a little more.
Because it's drunk. It tastes like tequila.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
But he's doing that. Like a Chinese chef will come in, he'll beat him at a Chinese dish. A Mexican chef will come in, he'll beat him at a Mexican dish.
That's right. The white guys always come up.
Maybe that's what my dad likes the show. My dad's obsessed with the show. But I'm watching the show with my dad, and my dad's not a comedian. And he's like, wouldn't it be kind of a funny sketch if it was a show like this, but it was like surgeons? Like there was a top surgeon, and then challengers come in, and then like it was like who could do a better like lung transplant. But it's like a funny sketch because it's like they're treating it like, you've got 90 seconds to do it, and at the end, like someone's bleeding out, and he's like, fuck, like I lost, kind of thing.
They throw a mystery ingredient in.
Yeah.
You have to do this with chocolate.
Yes, exactly. All you can do, it's with a butter knife, and you have to stitch it up just with like staples and something like that. And then I also like the idea that like once the timing is up, they're not going to finish the surgery.
That's it.
It's over.
Yeah. Needles down.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a fun sketch that he came up with.
Dad in the writer's room.
Yeah.
He is a funny guy.
He's very funny.
Still to this day, best wedding speech I've heard.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think he did. He did awesome.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't even think he wrote it. He just went up there. He was like, he trumped it.
My dad, he weaved.
He weaved. I was like, this is the most impressive thing ever.
The weave thing, just to go on a weave about a weave, is that where he described. If you haven't heard it, that's when Trump was on. I think it was Andrew Schultz's podcast, right? And he describes this weave like tactic that he uses. It might have been the best example of over-explaining a very simple. We talked about how podcasts could be summed up. The idea of what he was saying could be summed up in 2 seconds, and I think he went on for 10 minutes.
That's the weave.
It's incredible.
That's how you win elections.
I think it's my favorite brand of comedy is over-explaining a very simple concept.
I mean, that's what comedy is at the end of the day.
Yeah,
it's
right.
over-explaining something usually wrong.
Yes. So he, so my dad wrote the speech. I think he and my mom worked together on this speech, and it was awesome, and he delivered it really, really well. But he riffed the first like 30 seconds to a minute of it.
Yeah.
My best man made a speech, who was also a really good speech.
Good speech.
And then there's a story within the best man speech, because my best man knows my dad well, and mentioned him or something like that. And then my dad riffs off of that, off of my best man speech for like a minute, which is...
I couldn't believe it.
So, I mean, it's
I was jaw-dropping. I was like, this guy's riffing up top. I thought he was going to go into the crowd.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do?
And, of course, the trick of a riff, it was a good riff, but a mediocre riff will get a good reaction because people know it's a riff.
Right. But this riff was...
No.
This is out of this world.
This was what's a great riff? The greatest riff of all time was the only one I could think of.
Bill Burr in Philly.
No, I was going to say George Bush on top of the rubble, being like, "I can hear you."
Yeah. That probably is the best riff of all
best
time.
riff of all
but then he went too long.
Oh, did he keep going?
He didn't know how to get into material. Yeah.
I remember, like, because I don't remember it at the time, and then I watched. It was like a clip of it or something. I can't remember why it came up, and I'm like, did he come up with that on this? That's like insane.
This was probably a month ago. It came up on my TikTok.
Yeah.
And they're like, great off the cuff, terrible when he keeps going on. And I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, he just kept going.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, this is nonsense. But it was a great.
Well, I in all fairness, like doing stand up, I can understand if my riff initial line got that kind of reaction, I probably would filibuster. I probably wouldn't shut up for the next.
Yeah, but usually
he was looking for a clip. He was
way ahead of his time, George Bush. Into Iraq before anyone else.
Yes.
Well,
bad.
yeah,
He was on the shoulders of giants on that one. Yeah.
Do you think he, like, when he gets booked, they're like, yeah, you're going to do the 9/11 rubble. You got to do 20.
Yeah.
Or do you think, because if he got that pop, he should have left.
Ideally,
but do you think the contract said he had to do 20?
Could be the contract, or it could be the rut. He's got the bullhorn. He's got, I could see falling in love with being up there and overstaying.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
The pictures he probably got just from 9/11, his hinge probably would have looked fantastic.
Oh, unbelievable.
So many.
Giuliani's
likes.
maybe even more. Because
Giuliani's
Giuliani's got a
great
few
hinge.
where he's like walking towards it.
Yeah.
And
he's on SNL.
And SNL. And if you remember that SNL thing, so after 9/11, the first episode of SNL, Paul Simon sings The Boxer, and then it's Giuliani and a bunch of first responders all around him, but they're stone-faced.
Yeah.
And if you got a hinge photo of that,
unbelievable,
surrounded by the firemen and the policemen,
yeah,
I mean, better than holding a big fish,
Way better, I would assume.
Yeah.
But I don't have either picture. We're A/B testing right now. Pictures. We're trying some out. Yeah.
Hey, show me after.
I'll show you after. I got on. I was with my buddy who I used to work with. He came to the show Saturday.
Okay.
And he's been on Hinge, going all around. He's like, "Let me see your profile." And then he's like, "I would do this. I wouldn't do that." He's got great style.
Right.
Shout out Brian. You don't listen. But
the fish thing is like, I don't know. Everyone's like, it's so basic, whatever. But then I saw someone, a girl's like dating app, and she's like swiping through, and she like made a face about the fish thing, and I was like, yeah, man, like totally. It's a pretty big fucking fish.
Cool.
It is pretty. You need
cool,
a marlin? What are you looking for?
If it's a small
fish,
fish,
Hemingway, yeah.
All right, so Bramante's coming over.
Yeah.
We're doing Thanksgiving. What's the usual like? Well, for the wife's family coming over or no?
No, there's got to be a split because it's too many people. So it's mainly Rachel's coming, but then it's my dad, his two sisters, their husbands, my mom, and of course Mike Bramante.
And Mike Bramante.
Yes.
He's a real fish out of water. But okay, how am I gonna, this isn't a football family, I'm assuming.
My dad and I like sports, but it's not. I mean, it's just like a random Lions game, right? I mean, we're Jets fans. So
Giants, Cowboys.
Oh, Giants, so we're Jets, not Giants, and the Jets are terrible. So
Lions, I don't know who they're playing. Call us in if you know.
Yeah. And then they always have one game that's not
Houston.
Giants and,
I just made something up.
Okay.
So what? I guess this because like a city Thanksgiving to me is fascinating.
Yeah.
Were you big go see the balloons people?
One year, I think we went to see it, but it's usually so cold that it's not worth it.
Not anymore, baby.
Yeah,
it's warm as hell.
I mean, I don't know. I never followed the balloons thing much unless it was like the Cat in the Hat killed 3 people or something like that. That was always interesting.
That's a good story.
Yeah, I mean, that happened. Like, yeah, and then the Post will have a good headline. Just like,
that guy can't find a job anymore.
Murder pussy. I don't know. Something better than that. But
I don't work there.
Yeah. What do you want from me?
Yeah.
I'm not a genius. Like the New York Post headline writer.
No one's sharper. No one's a better writer off the cuff than the New York Post headline guy.
You got a favorite?
Yeah, I don't know if I could say it. How far into the
You can't say it? It's a regular newspaper. Really?
Yeah.
And you can't say it?
You can't say it.
Really?
Jeremy Lin, when his first bad game.
His first bad game, right?
Blank in the armor.
What? They
Check
really
it.
did that?
Check
Jesus Christ. I mean,
So good.
At least wait till he does a few bad games. I mean,
Well, then it wouldn't be a blank.
right.
It'd be a huge hole.
Well, you
Just
just make it plural. Yeah.
well, there's only one on the team.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Anyway, mine was going to be way more PC, I suppose.
I just couldn't believe it. I was like,
I can't top
"Ooh."
that. I had one in my mind. I can't top that. That's crazy. All right. So the one I was going to say, now it's going to seem so lame compared to the hate speech.
I didn't make it. Yeah.
No, I know you didn't make it. Yeah.
At the record show, I'm not that good.
The other thing is that it's not even that long ago, Linsanity. What was it? 15 years ago? 10 years ago?
Things were different.
Things were different.
Trans people didn't exist.
Right.
That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
That's about it.
exactly the same.
Everything else is pretty much the same.
So, Ted Turner was married to Jane Fonda. So Ted Turner was the media mogul guy.
course.
Jane Fonda, famous actress, and then they got divorced, and the headline was Ted, not Fonda Jane.
That's A plus.
That's pretty good.
How many times do you think it takes him to come up with that?
In my head, it's immediate.
He's like Lil Wayne. He just goes
You
into the
think so?
studio and goes. Nothing's written.
Right. You think it's one guy. In your mind, it's one guy.
In my head, this is one guy. He's just sitting in the room.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, what happened? He's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, yeah.
And he's been around forever, right? Didn't Alexander Hamilton found the New York Post? He's been around since the 1700s.
He's been around since Alexander Hamilton.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And
just
that is why blank in the armor. This guy's trapped in, 1780, whatever.
That's right. Yeah.
I think that's right.
Well, that was the second thing he came up with. The first one was Orient in the armor. And they're like, that doesn't make any sense. He was like, wait, what?
You got to throw some paint on the wall. Yeah, Orient. Yeah, give the guy a break. He invented the slur. That's how old this guy is.
No one was. Yeah, there were no slurs until he decided.
This guy coined some real famous.
He created Pollock.
I mean, that's
Pretty good.
yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't even know why is. There's got to be some etymology to that, but I mean,
I didn't know. This is a true story. I also used to have a bit about it where
Okay.
I wrote
Okay.
in 8th grade. I wrote a report about the Russians invading Poland in World War II, and I just kept saying Pollock. I said it. I probably said it like 4 or 5 times in the paper, and my teacher was going to suspend me, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Look how many times you wrote Pollock." I was like, "Yeah, that's what it's about, guy, Mr. Dalton." And he was like, "You can't do this." And I was like, "Do what? I get an A or what, guy?"
that's incredible. That's one of the funniest things. To have an entire paper.
He's like, "Do you know what you did?" And I was like, because my dad called us Pollocks.
That's of course. Yeah. Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh."
But it was a serious paper, right? It wasn't like, the thesis wasn't like, this is why Pollocks,
That was like
don't
a
know how to
3-page
tie their shoes. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was in the epilogue.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But the actual paper wasn't about that. No.
Every sentence in the paper starts with, my dad tells me that.
Well, it kind of looked like a suicide note. It said Pollock every time. Pollack.
Yeah, that's right. It was one of those poems.
And then he highlighted it, and he was like, "Oh my God, I see what he did."
Yeah. That's so funny.
Real thing that happened. Shout out Mr. Dalton. Shout out H.P. Thompson.
You have a bit on that.
Yeah, I haven't done it in.
That's so funny.
I only do it when I'm in like Long Island or another racist area.
I see. You can say that word because they're white,
Oh no, I can say it,
Yeah.
but it doesn't like hit unless you're at a place that still has like white racism.
Okay.
Long Island is one of those places.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But I also think people don't know Pollock.
You think?
I would say.
I think we might have grown up in very similar houses in a weird way. I think.
Yeah, we're good. Well, because we grew up Eastern European, but I think
Yeah.
if you grew up.
I guess that's what it is. I also meant that my dad would probably use the word Pollock. Probably.
Oh yeah, he was saying it in a derogatory way. My dad said it in like I think how black people say the N-word. He called us Pollocks in the same.
Oh,
sense.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So that was just the term. I see.
That's
see.
why I truly thought that's what you call Polish people.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Poles.
Yeah.
Which is fucking dumb. Poles?
Who came up with calling them Poles? Pollock.
Put your clip.
There we go. There it is. Yeah. I mean, it's.
I see you don't watch
incredible.
football on Thanksgiving.
That's right.
Yeah, all right.
Oh man. If I being it I mean, you know, your teacher got to have a sense of humor. I mean, that's or maybe you think that your teacher told, you know, their wife afterwards, like, you got to see this. This is so funny. Or do you think he was really pissed?
No, he like pulled me out of the room.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it wasn't until I said my dad calls us Polacks. He was like, "Oh, this is a systemic problem."
But how could he not know that if the essay was serious?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know how many racist kids he's taught before.
I mean, if you're there saying, you know, the Nazis invaded the Polacks in 1939.
So many times.
All right.
He's like, this kid's really driving
If
this
you're
home.
doing the Nazi stuff, then it seems like you're picking the wrong side of the war by calling them Polak. You know,
Right.
Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I spent it as like, here were a few ideas I would have done
Right.
to do this
right,
better.
Right.
Yeah. So, but listen, it's Thanksgiving. I'm not spending it with Bramante. I've never spent it with a friend.
I think this might be my first time.
I've had a girlfriend.
Friendsgivings, but
I
those
hate
are
a
usually,
Friendsgiving.
you know, a few days before.
I despise Friendsgiving.
Yeah, why?
Here's the thing about Thanksgiving. The food is for Thanksgiving.
Right.
Stuffing, pumpkin pie. We could talk about other foods. Everyone has a little different duck. But I don't want to eat Thanksgiving dinner 3 different times. I want to have it on Thanksgiving, maybe the day after.
Right, the leftover thing. Yeah, because you got to take that into account also. You are probably going to have it for 2 days.
You're going to have it for 2-3 days. But you're telling me the Saturday before I got to get a bottle of wine to meet up with you idiots and have stuffing, turkey, and everything else?
Fair point. How would you feel about a Friendsgiving where they didn't have the traditional Thanksgiving food?
But then that's just...
Then you're just hanging out with your
Yeah,
friends
just hanging out with my friends.
in November.
Right. Yeah, that's fine. If you want to do a Wednesday night dinner, call that Friendsgiving.
I think there's also a certain lameness to calling things friends something. It's a lame word. Let's just, like, there's nothing.
It's not creative.
Yeah, no, you know,
It's like Pole.
a cool guy. James Dean's not going to Friendsgiving.
James Dean's not going. No, Matthew McConaughey is not going to Friendsgiving.
No, he's not. And that's good. I mean, is that your example of like a cool guy?
I would say he's...
Because mine was weird because it was a guy who died in the 60s. But
Yeah, it's a little old school.
Yeah,
Yeah, your
yeah.
example. But I think it's still... I would say Matthew McConaughey's our generation's James Dean.
Really?
Would you not agree?
I always thought of like a Heath Ledger. I always think of a James Dean as someone who also dies young. But
fair point.
like a lot of people said River Phoenix when he was, you know, when he died, they were
not
like,
even
that
close.
was James Dean. All right.
Not even close.
Well,
James Dean? Heath Ledger even, I don't think. Because James Dean was like the guy.
So he's like the coolest guy, but he's also a great actor who was like a different actor.
But I think there's also a lot of cultural connotation. Like
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey is coolness right now.
But he's also so insane. Not insane, eccentric. He's eccentric.
I think, yeah. I mean, I know.
Like there's a clip of him. I don't know what podcast he's on
The
where he's
tuna
talking
fish.
about. I was thinking of the one where he's talking about how to make a steak.
Oh.
It's a clip. I want to say it's maybe the Segura podcast. I'm not exactly sure, but they're like, oh yeah, what's your favorite kind of steak? And he just goes on for like a minute. He's like, sirloin, cook it at the, you know, blah blah blah. You know, like he just goes.
I think this is the same exact episode
Oh, it is the same episode.
that he
Okay.
described how he makes tuna fish.
It just
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
through.
That was most of the... I listened to the episode.
Yeah, it's just an
yeah,
hour
that's
long.
most
Yeah,
what it
by
is.
a minute 50 when he's talking about Brussels sprouts, it's really. You know.
I was writing down notes. I was like, all right, this is good. Air fryer, great. He
He's
puts
good.
frozen...
The one man who could beat Bobby Flay.
That's it. Get
Yeah.
McConaughey, Bobby Flay versus McConaughey making tuna.
I'd watch that.
I would watch that. I would
Yeah.
watch anything with McConaughey. Shout out to him.
Good actor. Can do a lot of stuff. I admire the actors that could do this sort of rom-com stuff, and he was great at it. You know, How to
The
Lose
best.
a Guy in 10 Days. And then, I mean, he won the Oscar for the Dallas Buyers Club. He was
Yep.
great in True Detective. Yeah, he's good. Wolf of
him.
Wall Street, that small role. But
And he ad-libbed the whole...
did he?
Yep.
Impressive.
I've heard that in a few pods.
Very
He completely
impressive.
made that up. He does that to get into a mindset for a scene.
I like
and Leonardo DiCaprio said,
Yeah.
throw that into the scene.
Nice.
Shout out to Leo, dude.
That performance.
We know
is
you
incredible.
listen.
Incredible performance.
Unbelievable
And
performance.
I think, because I'm a big Oscars person,
Yep.
I'm not positive about this, but I believe that he lost Best Actor that year to Matthew McConaughey in Dallas Buyers Club, which I think Leo in that movie should beat almost anyone.
He should, but did he make tuna salad for the Academy?
Oh,
Now
that's
that
what's
we
going
know
on?
things,
Yeah.
this is all starting to make sense. He wins. He makes tuna salad. Diddy's arrested. He's been sleeping with underage people. Everything's starting to fall apart.
Wait. What was the
I don't
jump?
know. I messed up. I originally had a Diddy concept and I messed it up. Diddy gives his music rights back to his singers.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, he's been a predator.
So you're saying, I see what you're saying.
Now
but
it's easy for us to look back.
So I get the analogy, but in McConaughey's case, it works out for him.
Right.
McConaughey hasn't stopped giving the tuna salad. If he ever
I
does,
think that year he made it for the Academy at least. This isn't good.
what I'm trying to say is if you want to complete the analogy, then that means that one day McConaughey is going to stop giving them tuna. He's going to stop,
I think,
and that's where we're going to find out all these, allegations.
It's a house of cards.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
I guess that's how it works.
Well, it definitely seems to be.
I just have I'm just calling balls and strikes here.
Little Diddy, little Harvey Weinstein, little what's his name?
Spacey?
Epstein.
Epstein.
Spacey too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So, what time's Bramante coming over?
I think it's an early one, actually. I think people are getting together at 2, maybe?
2.
That's particularly early, right?
That's early.
How about you?
Well, my family, we eat dinner at noon, and that's the day. So.
Oh, you're going noon.
Oh, my family, yeah. Oh, growing up, we ate dinner at 3:34.
Oh, just any day.
Yeah, that was a regular day.
Oh,
and then
weird.
holidays, it's noon.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because my grandparents, when
Oh,
they
so
were
maybe
alive,
that's what okay, yeah.
they were. My grandfather retired when I was born, 93, and he just kept his schedule. So he would wake up at 3, even though, after.
What did he do?
Drove a truck for Bloomingdale's.
Wow.
Yeah.
And woke up at 3 in the morning.
Woke up at 3 in the morning, and then he just kept that schedule forever. So
That's so
on
interesting.
holidays when they came over.
My grandpa also had a kind of crazy schedule. Well, he ended up running a delicatessen, which
I could have guessed.
What
about
does
right.
that mean? He could have been a diamond salesman, you bastard.
That's true. I apologize. Yeah.
Just stereotyping like crazy over here.
Well, I thought he made Ben's Deli. Are
Yeah.
you not the Ben of Ben's Deli?
No, he named it after his grandson.
That wasn't born yet?
Yeah, that wasn't for you. Exactly. But so you got to get up really early for that. But I think that when he first moved to America, he was doing this job that I think was in Philadelphia. I think he would have to get up at 2,
What?
3 in the morning. Yeah, he was doing some crazy.
From here?
He was I think he was a line cook. He had never cooked in his life. He didn't, he had a totally different job in
In
the Soviet
Philly?
Union. I think maybe Jersey, but closer to
The
Philly.
Bull, yeah.
And he would go every day for. I think he did that for at least a year.
That's insane.
Yeah. No, he's crazy story, amazing life story. He passed away 2000, right before COVID. He passed away, which
Great timing.
yeah.
Yeah.
He was 97 years old, and that would have been COVID was not
Yeah, it's over.
a
Yeah.
good time. Cuomo would have.
Oh,
Killed him
Cuomo would
immediately.
have axed him real quick. Get this guy out of here. I don't know why I'm doing Trump for Cuomo.
That's how he talked when he was talking about killing old people.
Well, he was rubbing his nipple so hard he had to put some Band-Aids
grabbing
over
asses,
him.
killing old people.
Well, he's
Yeah.
Italian. What are you going to do?
That was funny when a lot of the explanations were. His explanation was I'm Italian.
His explanation was that, yeah, sorry, I sexually abused you. I'm
Yeah.
Italian.
What else are you gonna come after me for? That I like eating?
Yeah.
That I like family? Yeah.
I love my brother.
Yeah. I like how you did that. We'd kind of choke it up. That was good. Yeah.
I stole that from Nick Kroll, but I appreciate it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. But yeah, grandparents. You ever get the feeling of? I don't think it even matters what. Maybe just grandparents, that whole generation, more interesting lives
You say more interesting lies.
than like my generation. I mean, they got stories. They got stuff.
Yeah, they got some stories. I'm trying to think. Like, my grandfather drove a truck for Bloomingdale's. Also, never could read.
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Like, not at all, or
Yeah, he has a third grade education. Dropped down to third
yeah.
grade.
My grandpa on my mom's side, I don't think went to high school. Maybe dropped out like maybe 8th grade or something like
But
that.
that isn't like, you can't do that now. Drop out of school in the 3rd grade.
No,
And then
yeah.
own a townhouse in Queens.
I mean, that's the American
What?
dream. That's
I
incredible.
mean, he inherited it, but still.
Just to sign.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, just to sign the contract.
Oh, dude, yeah. Like, how he could just get around the city and not be able to read.
That's tough.
Like, function.
That's tough.
I've always tried to work it out on stage. People get sad. So it's never worked out. But yeah, like stuff like that where it's like, wait, what? You can't read?
Right.
You're telling me what to do?
Yeah.
What the hell's going on
Write
here?
it down, motherfucker.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you want me to do that?
Yeah. Sorry.
I can only read directions. Let's go.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess it's just all, I mean, depends on the story or whatever, but sometimes, feel like our generation's a little, we're spoiled compared to.
I also think it's the people we grew up with, like the areas we grew up in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of success stories, but not a lot of there's no friction
Yeah.
with the folks we grew up with. You know what I mean?
What do you mean by friction?
Like, there's no, like my grandfather dropped out in 3rd grade and can't read, and he still ends up owning a house and stuff. What's the like, everyone we grew up with was like, oh, your dad went to Cornell and met your mom
I see.
and went to Ithaca.
But I
and-
think that even if it's not a privileged community nowadays, I still think that if someone were in a less privileged, life, they would still say, well, my grandpa, like, I know my life was tough, but Jesus Christ, my grandpa and my grandma, what they had to go through. You know what I mean?
So you're saying our grandkids, that's what they're not going to be like, oh, you should hear what my grandfather did.
I think our grandkids, I don't know. Like, I mean, my grandfather on my dad's side was insane. He was, is a survivor. I mean, like,
Line cook.
A line cook. Yeah, that's what I meant. He survived line cook. Yeah.
It's hard.
That'd be insane.
Yeah. Kind of the same outfit in both places.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And you can't have the food.
Yeah, the food's terrible.
Yeah. Anyway, so his life was I mean, you could write a book on that one. But my mom's dad, who is grew up in the Bronx and whatever, but also like an interesting story. I don't know, lived through World War II. He didn't actually fight. I think he was like in Mississippi on some base. But whatever.
That's a good story.
Yeah,
That's fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He had a good time. And I don't know. I just think that's like a more interesting story.
But then look at, or maybe the scale of what's impressive now. How am I going to try to say this? Fucking Mark Zuckerberg, The Social Network.
Right.
What a story.
That's a fair point.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's more of those now.
Right. It's not a story so much about struggle. I mean, it's just struggle in a sense, but a story of beating odds.
Yes. Beating odds. I mean, let's be honest. Diddy. What a story his grandkids are going to tell.
Oh, yeah.
Biggest music mogul in the world.
Yeah.
How he did it, whatever. But that's crazy.
Right. Yeah, no, there's definitely... I think what I'm trying to say here is that my life is not particularly interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what's going on.
No, my grandkids.
And I'm generalizing to, it's my whole generation. But it's like, nah, I think it's just... I think I'm just talking about myself.
My grandfather, he used to do shows in New Hampshire. No, like, what?
I recently did shows in New Hampshire.
Shout out to New Hampshire.
Yeah, great state.
Yeah.
Good shows.
I'm
There's some
sure.
Don't tell shows. Yeah.
Shout out to Don't Tell. Yeah. They booked me once.
In New York.
In New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, those shows are like, anytime I've done a Don't Tell, it's been a banger of a show.
You want a fun little story from Stone Street?
Yeah.
This is fun. Saturday packed show. Thanks for coming out. I don't think any of you listen. But There's a table of people when you're on stage,
Yeah.
right to your right.
Yeah.
Stage left when you're on stage to your right. They were a little drunk when they walked in, but not. I wasn't concerned. They order a margarita tower. Whatever. A couple comics go up. Boom. Boom. Mayhole gets up on stage. He grabs the mic, and you just hear a bunch of liquid.
Okay.
And you're like, they must have spilled the margarita tower.
Right.
They all get up and walk out. Didn't pay the bill. You look. They puked everywhere.
I thought you were going to say piss. Puke's worse. They're both bad.
Puked everywhere. We got it on camera. Everywhere.
Does Mehul comment on it?
No, Mayhill's also blind, so he couldn't really see what happened.
Oh.
He only heard it, so he's like, "Where are you guys pissing over there? Come on, stop spilling your drinks."
Damn. Oh, that's gross.
And then they all leave, and I was like, "I think that kid fucking threw up all over himself."
And does the room just smell terrible?
No, once people start leaving, I go into the room. I'm like, "Yep, big pile of white stuff, like a dog threw up there."
Damn.
But then because half the margarita tower's still there. Yeah. After the show, some woman walks over and goes to pour herself a margarita. I was like, "Yo, that's disgusting."
Oh my god.
Hell of a show, though.
I think I was on a
Good
show
crowd.
recently where someone like passed out or something like that.
Really?
They were just kind of taken off the premise. It was like it was done quietly. They just kind of left with the. I think probably just blackout drunk. I think that was all it was. But
That's as long as you're not yelling.
no, I think this guy was like eyes
just
rolling back
passed
and-
out.
Yeah.
We encourage that.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't heckle. Yeah.
As long as you don't heckle, I really don't care.
Absolutely.
Throw up on yourself, pass out, whatever. Brisket.
Oh, for Thanksgiving?
How long have you not been doing turkey?
This might be the first year where my dad's changing it up.
I feel like, and this might be, I'm in anti-turkey algorithm. People aren't doing turkey this year.
Wait, what do you mean?
People hate turk.
I guess it's not a food that I feel like if I'm getting a turkey sandwich as opposed to a different kind of meat, I'm kind of trying to be healthy.
Yes.
I mean, I guess if you have turkey skin, then it's not as healthy. But it's not like people eat so much of it that they go into like that they fall asleep or whatever. But
the tryptophan.
It's not like you're not indulging, really. Are you with turkey?
I think people just don't like it.
But that's what I'm kind of saying. Like if it's a holiday and you're really, it's you don't have to have a salad today. This is the day where you can like really what you're doing in terms of eating junk is more the sides and the dessert. But turkey is not like it can be, it's like kind of healthy.
So you're trying to say if we're going to do this, let's do this.
Let's have a
Let's do a brisket.
Let's do a brisket.
Let's do a duck legs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
I guess turkey, you can make anything unhealthy. And I guess adding stuffing to it makes it kind of unhealthy.
Stuffing sick. We should do less turkey, more stuffing.
What's your thoughts on turkey with cranberry?
I'm not a big fan. I don't think anyone really is. But you do it for...
I like a turkey sandwich. I like a turkey club. I like, with a little mustard.
Spicy brown.
Spicy brown.
Yeah,
honey mustard.
Brown.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not anti-turkey. I do like turkey. But, with my dad saying to mix it up and stuff like that, what? And don't they always say that the first Thanksgiving might have been like seafood or something like that? Turkey came a little later.
Well, I also thought Pilgrims lived in Jamestown, so...
Yeah, no one knows. No one knows these things. Just ChatGPT.
Just ChatGPT. What, you think they were like Italians? They did the 7 fishes on...
Isn't that... Because I think Massachusetts, it makes more sense that it would be seafood.
I get it. They made a bunch of shit up back then. They don't know.
They don't know. They don't know if it actually happened.
They don't even know if it actually happened.
Why would they know? Why would there be a written account of some pilgrim saying like, "Hey, I had dinner with some Native Americans today. It was really nice."
Yeah. They go,
yeah.
You should do this every year.
Yeah, but that's a letter. That's what you're writing down. No, you're writing other stuff.
Most of our holidays are based off of like fake accounts.
You're talking about like religious holidays.
Religious holidays, and to your point, Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
This isn't recorded anywhere.
Right.
We're just taking people's word for it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the other more secular holidays.
4th of July, we know.
4th of July we did. 4th of July is a weird one. I made a TikTok thing on the 4th of July, and I had like some bit about it.
July 3rd or something, right?
So I made it, and I was basically making the point that if you're going to celebrate one day for America, for America's independence, and for the beginning of America, that July 4th isn't necessarily the right day because all we did was declare independence that day. The war had actually already started, and that was a day when we were saying like, "Hey, fuck you, King George. We're declaring independence," which is great, but you still got to win a whole war in order to actually be a country. So I was just saying like, "Oh, why don't we celebrate the day the treaty was signed or the day the Constitution was ratified?" Those days to me are more like that's the beginning of America, as opposed to just a bunch of guys being like, "Hey, we're out."
But then they write. See, this is where I don't understand.
But people, I should say that people writing comments were like, "You're a fucking awful person and an idiot," and someone made a response video.
Someone made a response video?
Yeah. They made a stitch. They like took part of my thing, and then they're like, "This is why this guy's a moron."
Huh.
And the video, by the way, the video didn't even do that well. Like, if you're gonna write hate stuff, at least get the algorithm going.
Right. Let's get some comments.
It was like 800 views, but all those 800 people were like, "This guy, should be deported."
Well. I thought they signed it on the 4th. That's why we do it.
They signed the Declaration of Independence on the 4th. So I guess my point is that it's like we're celebrating the day where we said we're going to do something, not when we actually did it. That's kind of my angle on it.
I get it's also to play your side.
Yeah.
You say you're going to do it 4th of July.
Right.
It's got to get to King George. How long does that take? 2 months?
While. Yeah.
Yeah. Back then, there's no DHL.
Yeah, you got to ship it over. Then he's got to read it.
At least 6 weeks.
I think.
And then you got
the
to
whole
wait
Atlantic.
So big.
Big ocean.
And then he's got to send it back to be like, to get the read receipt.
Hey, he's got to send back, and then, it just keeps going on.
But then when would you put Independence Day? That doesn't work with our flow.
You got to just pick a day. July 4th. The other cool thing about July 4th, though, is that in one of the great coincidences in American history, so July 4th, 1776, we declare independence. Exactly 50 years later, July 4th, 1826, both Thomas Jefferson and John Adams die. Exact same day, 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So that makes me think like, okay, it's a significant day. That's kind of spooky.
That's why God's an American. Well, that's what they say.
Yes. He always was.
Always was.
Always will be.
Yeah. Only 250 years old, but he was always an American.
That's why Mormonism makes a lot of sense.
Come on.
People are like, Jesus was in America. I was like, of course he made a pit stop in America.
In Rochester, of all places.
That's where you got to go.
That's where
Why go to the city? Why not? The upstate is gorgeous.
They got a garbage plate. That's what Jesus went for.
Exactly.
Went to Rochester, got a garbage plate. He dropped a couple tablets on the ground.
Gold plate. Why? Yeah. Put it down there, and, it took a while for our guy Joseph to find it, but, he did.
He did. Thank God. Thank God. Yeah. Else we won't get BYU in the playoffs this year. Of course.
Utah would be nothing.
With the Jewish quarterback.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Big story.
They're sending Jews to BYU?
They're sending them out.
Wow.
Jew leading BYU. The Jew at BYU. That's what they're saying.
That's okay.
People got shirts. BYU Jew. It's fun.
I got to get one of those shirts. Holy shit.
You're really going to confuse some people.
I got to be white Jew. That's too good.
Is there any version of Judaism like Mormonism? I can't think of it. Because it's just blatantly a cult.
With Judaism, I guess Christianity does have more branches. The amount of branches. Once you get Protestantism, then it just goes in a million different directions.
Yeah, Lutheran.
And then Mormonism is kind of its own thing. But, like we said, like it is Jesus, but that he came to America.
Version 3. 3.0.
Yeah.
Old Testament, New Testament, and Mormonism, no? I got that. Do I get that right?
New Testament. Wait, say it again.
It was like we have the Old Testament, we have the New Testament.
Right.
And doesn't Mormonism basically say, like, hey, we got the...
Book of Mormon. Yeah.
Right, we got the newest version.
We got a newest
Yeah,
version.
it just dropped.
As opposed to, I think, most forms of Protestantism, which are less about like, hey, we just figured out more stuff, as opposed to like, this is how we should worship this way. We should do this.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about the Pope. Let's do that. But Mormonism is just like, oh, we're rewriting this story. Like you
not
missed
gonna
out a
believe it.
whole part of what happened.
It's basically Jesus fan fiction.
It's Jesus fan fiction.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Bible, which is,
Obviously real.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, it is always weird though, where like we call Mormonism kind of, the reason why Mormonism or Scientology or one of the more Christian Science, those more recent religions we call more wild, is because it's recent. There's not
1,000%.
There's nothing more far fetched in Christian Science than there would be in Judaism, but it's like, they were creating it. There was already photography.
Yeah.
What's going on? Yeah.
But that's, if you're going to start a cult, that's how too many people are trying to start new religions.
Right.
Shout Scientology. But I think Mormonism did it right. They're like, no, we're that, but I get to sleep with all your wives.
Right.
But it's like the same thing.
I mean, it is insane to create an entire religion just because you want to have sex with other women.
I mean, is it?
Well,
I get it.
Henry VIII just wanted a divorce, and he broke away from the church. That's determines a lot of stuff.
Shout out to marriage, dude. Do we got? We'll hop over to Patreon quick.
All right, let's
you
do
got
it.
time, right?
Yeah. What do we got? Yeah. Let's do it.